Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of the Shameless Freedom Podcast. And today we are going to be hitting our 10th belief that stops us from owning our sexual freedom. And the belief we're going to talk about today is that sex is just for procreation. Now, some of you may have been taught this, some of you may not. However, it is definitely something that exists out in the world today. And if we have been taught that sex is solely just for procreation, we do this a disservice. And what we end up doing is bringing the act of sexual intimacy down to a function instead of a feeling. And what this really does is it it really gets into our heads as women and it disconnects us from our own pleasure in our own body. Because if all we're supposed to do is experience this in order to procreate and create a baby, then we're not focusing on pleasure. We're not focusing on that connection with the body. We end up continuing to feel this guilt and shame around ourselves and our bodies. And what this does too is it encourages what I would call like duty sex as opposed to devotional intimacy. That like you're just doing it just to make a baby, as opposed to sharing and exchanging this sacred love between two people. God created sex as a sacred expression. And there is energetic, spiritual, physical connections that we have that we exchange with another, right? And pleasure is not about performance. It is truly about fully embodying who you are as a woman and sharing your full embodied self with another. And if I think about really fully stepping into my sacred expression versus let's have sex to have a baby, right? It's a whole total different dynamic, right? So anyone out there who has wanted to have a child knows the experience of planning for one and wanting to have sex multiple times because you know that it's your fertile time, etc. So sometimes it can actually seem more like a duty or a function because you're doing it because you want to get pregnant, as opposed to I'm doing this because I want to have this sacred expression between two people. Now, sex is obviously clearly a component for creating babies, but it's not its only thing. However, I believe that it is one of the things that some cultures, some religious dialects have taught because if it's only used for sexual purposes, then we will not allow ourselves as women to dive into the shameful and dirty pleasures that we might actually enjoy if we allowed ourselves this sacred expression. Like just think about that for a minute. If you were taught this is just for procreation, you're not supposed to do it at any other time. Sinful, it's dangerous, right? You tend to get this feeling that it's bad, wrong, dirty, shameful. That, like, even if you did feel some sort of pleasure when you were experiencing it, there's this subconscious part in your brain that says, no, that's wrong. Like, you shouldn't want that. It's almost like some of us were taught that this is just for procreation so that we wouldn't understand the full depth of our power. Ladies, again, here's the truth. Our pleasure is our greatest power. And if we are taught to deny our greatest power for whatever reason, to shame our greatest power, to believe it's sinful if we're not doing it for the reasons that someone else taught us that we should, we're going to stay away from it. This is another way that the patriarchy has actually stopped us as women from owning the fullest expression of who we are. It is this good girl myth that has gone rogue. We have been taught things that are not true. If I think about my own personal experience in my family, my dad was one who believed that sex was just for procreation. That's what it was for. So if people out there are going, nobody believes that. Well, I'm just telling you that from my experience and having conversations with him about this topic is one of the things that held me back for so many years from actually even embracing this topic. Because when you speak with someone who you admire and respect and they have an opinion about a topic such as this, and you're poking holes in it and are looking to explore, um, there's a lot of interesting conversations that could take place if the conversation actually took place, which sometimes they did. But my dad would actually sleep with a Bible under his pillow. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but for him, it was a component of that was like sacredness. That there was one child, which was me, and there was no need or want to desire anything more. It was almost as if um, he was taught that you need to protect yourself from wanting something that you shouldn't want, right? Like, yes, sex feels good, but that is manly. That is not something that humans are supposed to enjoy, that it is a way to create another human and to continue on with the legacy of creating more humans and future generations. But if you really enjoyed it, you would want it more. And we don't want fleshly things. We should only want spiritual things. Anything that is material and in the flesh and feels good, it's not from God. At least that was what he taught me. You see, each one of us has a very different perspective on what religion has taught us and how it has shaped us. And if you had parents that were very strict in regards to what marriage was, what sex was, what pleasure and desire, and all of those things get wrapped up into shame. It creates a whole different dynamic for how women feel about their bodies. Because here's the real truth. God made our bodies to experience pleasure. It's not wrong to experience pleasure. So if our true self and our bodies are experiencing these pleasureful feelings, but at the same time, you've also been taught it's wrong to experience pleasure. Like it's almost like you have the God and the devil talking to you at the same time. The body is saying, this feels good, I want more. But the subconscious is saying, no, that's bad, that's wrong. You shouldn't want that. Like, stop that. Stop wanting to experience that. And the easiest way to get someone to stop thinking that they want more is to provide rules that say, no, it's wrong. It's dirty, bad, shameful. Don't do it. And I believe for many generations, families, cultures have had hard lines around it. Well, first of all, it's not an easy topic to talk about. How many of you out there enjoy having conversations with your children about sex, what it means, protection, you name it? Oh my gosh, like I could tell you stories. And the truth is, it's just so much easier to lay down the law and say, these are the things, this is how it works. And to just teach our children to accept that that is the reality. And the sad truth is it's not. But we live in this society that has taught us these things. For me, growing up, everything we did was based in the Catholic faith and the Catholic tradition. All extracurricular activities were through the church. So anything we did was not with a non-Catholic person. So there wasn't the opportunity to even explore further. So this is why I think it's so important for people to understand different cultures, different religions, to visit different places, to understand, to seek to understand why people believe what they do. And to not judge, but to seek, to understand, to have curiosity. Because the truth of the matter is, so many of us have been taught lies. Different lies is a way to keep us safe from connecting with our own hunger, our own desire, our own sexuality as a woman. And it truly is a shame because this stops women from understanding what true embodiment is. It's like we've taken sex and sexuality and turned it into a function or an obligation of you're doing it just for procreation. There are some people that do it just to please their husbands because they know that it's something that they want and need. That is not how God designed us. Sexuality is all about devotion and intimacy and embodiment and expression. And here's the truth. When we are taught to hide this piece of ourselves, we shut down a piece of who we are. And when that piece of us is shut down, we have physical, mental health issues that arise. People do not realize the number of health issues that arise when we are not owning the full extent of who we are as women. I really wish that there was more education, that people were more open around how healthy orgasm is for you, whether it is with yourself or with a partner, it doesn't matter. We need to break the chains of these beliefs. The one we've just talked about here was number 10. What I'd love to do is to go back over the 10 religious limiting beliefs that stop us from owning the fullest extent of who we are as women. Number 10 was that sex is only for procreation. We have been taught this as a way to fear our own desires and our own pleasures, and to allow us to just reducing this to be a biological function as opposed to a sacred connection. Number 9 was about women are a source of temptation. This is about, again, shame of our bodies. If we are out and enjoying who we are and showing a little bit of cleavage or whatever it is and how we're showing up, oh, we're being taught that we brought it on. So many of us then shame ourselves and hide the pieces that make us a woman because of that. Number 8, you were meant to worship the holy and the divine, not you or your body. Again, bringing that shame into the mixture of, if you even think about loving, adorning, worshiping your own body, then it's wrong. Number 7, only virgins are pure and holy. We have been taught as a society that we need to focus on being pure and modest and innocent. That if we lose our virginity, or depending on how we lose our virginity, right, that it makes a statement and an imprint on who we are and how we show up in the world. The next one is divorce is like the scarlet letter A. So many women have been judged for wanting more for their whole selves, their whole beings, and then are shamed to feel like the decisions that they are making for themselves and their bodies should have them be hung at the stake. Next one, sex before or outside of marriage is sinful and shameful, right? If you do this, you will not go to heaven. Again, this is one of those beliefs and tactics, I'll say, that it's just easier to teach someone. You want your child or your daughter to be safe. No, no, do not do this before or outside of marriage, otherwise you can't go to heaven. Again, teaching fear and shame. Number 4, sex is sinful. We have been taught that it is morally wrong, that the flesh is weak and that we are corrupted by sin, that our bodies are actually corrupting us. When in actuality, our bodies tell us the truth. Our bodies tell us the truth of what it is that we truly desire, as opposed to having it be the other way around and having it be so weak. What if our bodies, our hungers were actually the key to our transformation? The third was that sex is dirty. We have been taught so many stories societally, culturally, religiously in regards to this topic that it's hard for people to understand the beauty and the sacredness that sexual intimacy provides. Number 2 was that pleasure and desire are sinful, shameful, and indulgent, right? Like each one of these are different. To say that it's indulgent, you shouldn't want more. The flesh shouldn't want for more. And the last is around sex is evil. And I remember moving through all of these different, I'll call them phases, right? No one sets out and thinks these are things that are holding you back. But let me tell you, they're real. They truly are. Because here's the truth. It wasn't until I realized I had the belief that sex was evil and moved that and shifted it in my body that the portals started to open up. You see, we hear these things, oh, and think, that's not me. I don't believe that. Because maybe in your head, in your mind, you don't believe sex is evil. You don't believe sex is just for procreation. You don't believe that it's only virgins that are holy. You name it to the gamut. Let me tell you, if you have been taught this from generation to generation, it is ingrained in your body, in your energy field, whether you want to believe it or not. This is what I want women to understand. You might not be consciously thinking this, but your body is feeling it. And the way through is to acknowledge, to first say, I want to heal these things that are blocking my sexual freedom. This doesn't mean that you're going to go out there and have sex every day. That's not what this is about. This is about the shame and the guilt that have been placed upon us in how we feel about our bodies, ourselves, the fullest expression of who we are. And I want for you to open up to the possibilities of how these beliefs may be holding you back, how you can open new doors for yourself that will help you to reclaim your body, love your body, own your pleasure, own your power and your prosperity. You see, here's the thing. If you have shame around your body, it is hard for you to own your power and own your prosperity and bring more flow into your world. And I want that for so many women out there to release the shame, to embrace the pleasure, to embrace the power, to learn how to be in your body, how to move your body and feel with expression. So, if you are interested to learn more about this, I invite you to stay tuned for some exciting announcements that I have coming up that are going to give you an opportunity for you to dive deeper into your own pleasure, your own power, and the sacredness of who you truly are as a woman.